Well, good morning. So great to actually be here with you this morning and to be the first TED Talk here at Macquarie University. Back in the day, when I was in high school, I was a state champion sprinter and qualified for the World Junior titles, which were in Seoul, Korea. I ran all the qualifying times and was pretty much on my way to achieve the Olympic dream. But towards the end of high school, I got diagnosed with an incurable condition called ulcerative colitis, which is very similar to Crohn's disease. The doctors placed me on a disability pension and told me I'd never be able to work again. I lived like that for 5 years of my life, basically stuck at home. But then at 22, I had what can only be best described as one of those defining moments. I'm sitting at home feeling sorry for myself when a friend of mine knocked on my door and he handed me a book. The book is called Long Walk to Freedom. It's autobiography of Nelson Mandela. I was so inspired by Nelson Mandela's story to see a young black man spend 27 years in prison and then to become the president of his nation. I thought, hey, maybe I could try to do something with my life, because I felt like my life's in some sort of prison. Not a physical one, but an emotional one. I got so inspired by his story that I took the $2 that I had and I found, not far from where I lived, a fairly large warehouse. I decided that I'd take it upon myself to turn this warehouse into a youth centre. So I stumbled across the owners and I asked them what it would cost to rent out this large facility, and they informed me that it would cost me $1,500 a week when I only had $2 in my pocket. So I did what any great social entrepreneur would do. I asked them if they would give it to me for free. And funny enough, they actually said, yes, we'll do that, but just for 6 months. And then we'll talk after that, just to give me a little bit of a head start. So now, after they threw me the keys, I was left with this massive abandoned warehouse and still no money. But I heard somewhere that if you write to big companies will donate money to good causes. So I wrote down a list of 114 companies and just started writing them all proposals. In fact, I sent out 114 proposals, and you'll never believe this. Within 3 weeks of sending out 114 proposals seeking sponsorship, I actually got back 114 replies. And every single one of those replies was a no. But on my 115th proposal, a guy said yes and gave me $100. And that was the start. Quickly, I learned that writing proposals was going to take me far too long. I needed to work out a better way to actually manage this. And so I came up with the idea of why don't I just run a big youth event, like a big dance party, to raise money. The problem is I still didn't have any money to put the dance party on. But I did do accounting in high school. And one thing I learned about an accountant is you can put stuff on credit. So what I did was I went to the printers and I said, listen, could you print me all these posters, all these flyers, and give me a 30-day account, and I promise I'll pay back in 30 days. They agreed. I then went crazy and hired staging, trusses, lights, DJs, sound equipment, convinced them all to give me 30 days to pay them back. Then I came home and did the budget. Should have done the budget first. Came home, did the budget, worked out that I now need a minimum of 250 students just to pay back all these bills. I didn't even know it was even possible to get 250 people to your first event because I was so young and no one even knew me. Anyway, to cut a long story short, the deal is this. I actually didn't get 250 people to my first event. I got 2,500. Which kind of freaked me out just a little bit because I'd actually organised for my mum to be in the canteen, for my sister to be on the door, and for my brother to help out security. 4 of us, 2,500 young people. I'm ringing police, fire brigade, ambulance, security, trying to get this moment of control. But the next day in the local newspapers, I get front page, full colour photos. The article reads like this. Young guy on a disability pension stages the largest ever youth event ever seen in the city of Redcliffe, turns the city of Redcliffe upside down. Whole bunch of other media attention starts to occur. Anyway, again, to cut a long story short, the week after the dance party, I get a letter in the mail from a local businessman, and this letter reads like this. Dear Mr. Gerreyn, congratulations on the success of your youth event. I'm so impressed to see a young man strive to make a difference and build a house of hope for young people in the local community. Please accept this small contribution on behalf of my company towards your cause. Stapled to his letter check for $10,000 towards a warehouse. I get government grants, business sponsorship, a whole bunch of people start donating money to this great cause. At this point in my life, I've got to tell you honestly, after building the youth centre, I actually won Young Australian of the Year in 1998 for Queensland Community Service, and then schools, companies, football teams started asking me to come in and share my story. At this point in my life, I've got to tell you honestly, I feel like I'm living my dream. But if you were to go back to when I was 22, I actually weighed 55 kilos. I was taking 16 tablets a day, and I was suffering with pain 24/7. Now, I'm really thrilled about past achievements, but the thing that excites me the most is about the future. And I have a vision now for the future. See, it was a vision that actually got me to get off my sick bed and actually do something to bring social change. And so I believe it's a vision that's going to take me into the next 10, 20, even 30 years of my life. And before I get to that vision, let me give you one piece of background as I just run through some photos of this actual youth centre. I actually, the youth centre, you'll notice, was actually quite a large warehouse. The reason why it was so large is because I made a commitment to myself. I thought, you know what, Glenn, if you're going to fail, then you might as well fail big. Because I had nothing to lose. This is the gym. This is where we had over 800 members. I ran programs for football teams and rowing squads that actually were down here. We would train them not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally as well. The centre was actually open 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, from 9 o'clock to 9 o'clock for young people to come down and get motivated. But my future vision, and let me give you one piece of background before I get there. I just read the Google story and the Google Boys, and Larry Page is quoted as saying this. He said, you have to be a little silly about the goals you're going to set. There is a phrase I learnt in college called having a healthy disregard for the impossible. You should try and do things that most people would not. See, I thought building a youth centre with $2 in my pocket while I was on a disability pension was impossible. So I'm now starting to think that what else in my life is impossible could we actually achieve? And the reality is I can't do this by myself. In fact, I'm really wanting to work alongside as many organisations and as many individuals as possible to make this dream become a reality. But my vision, my dream at the moment is that by the year 2020, we will actually see in this nation, and please don't laugh at me to my face. I'd much prefer you laugh behind my back. My vision is that by the year 2020, we will actually see an end to teen suicide in the nation of Australia. My goal is to see an end to depression and eating disorders and addiction. And my goal also is to see a restoring of the hearts of the fathers to their children and the hearts of the children to their fathers. And can I be really honest with you? If I don't make this happen by the year 2020, then my goal is to make it happen by the year 2030. And if, you know what, if it hasn't happened by the year 2030, then I'm going to promise you right here, right now, that I'm going to give everything I can to make it happen by the year 2050. And you know what, if I'm dead and buried, this thing still doesn't come to pass, then I'm hoping I have the opportunity to stir up enough other people that someone else will pick up the baton and see this dream become realised. Because the reality is this, I may not get all the way, but what if I get close? You have to have a dream that is big enough that at least motivates you. The problem is some of our dreams are so weak and so anemic, they don't even motivate us anymore. Let me give you a really startling statistic here. In 1996, the number of prescriptions written for antidepressant drugs in Australia was actually 2.7 million. Now, the thing that's so startling about this, that in 2009, it went up to 16.3. That is a 600% increase in a generation. You know what Time magazine said about this current generation here today? They said if you add ADHD to the equation, they said this is the most medicated generation that has ever lived in the entire of humanity. More people today medicated than any other generation in history. Now listen, I'm a young father. I have 3 daughters. Can I be really honest with you? I'm almost sick and tired of being bombarded with newspaper articles, television commercials, urging me, provoking me, telling me that I should medicate my 1, 2, and 3-year-olds. You know what I'm wondering? At this point, I'm wondering at what point in history did parents just decide that it was too hard to raise kids, so why don't we just medicate them? You know, in our nation, there is an overwhelming sense of emptiness, literally lurking amongst us. So many people today feel hollow, literally, on the inside. And one of the reasons for that, or they try and fill, rather, this emptiness, this hollowness with all sorts of things. Some people go to relationships. Some people go to drugs and alcohol. Some people go to things. They think if I can just have that latest toy or gadget, then my life will actually mean something. And do you know why so many people today go to external things to fill an internal void? Because if you don't have any interior life, the only way that you can actually prove your life counts is actually with those external things. My belief, my idea that I actually think that is worth spreading, is the answer to that emptiness, the answer to that hollowness is this. I believe this with all my heart. Nothing satisfies the human spirit more than purpose. And what I want everybody to understand and to know is this, that your life has purpose, your life has meaning, your life has value. Your life is actually worth far more than what you could even begin to imagine. In fact, let me give you this illustration. If I took a $100 bill, $100 note, and if I was to throw that $100 note on the floor, and then if I was to step on it, and then if I was to try to mess it up and try and dirty it as much as I possibly could, and then if I was to bend over and pick up that $100 note, guess what? That $100 note would still be worth $100. There are some people in our country that have been messed up, that have been abused, that have been taken advantage of. But that does not take away their value or their worth. In fact, let me put it like this. Think about this. An inventor, a creator, an architect, a designer. You know when they create a thing? Would you agree that when they create a thing, they create that thing for a purpose? Obviously, right? For instance, a paperclip was created for a purpose, right? The chair that you're sitting on right now was actually designed with intent and purpose in mind, right? Therefore, if the paperclip has a purpose, and if a chair has a purpose, then it would be an insult to me to say that my life doesn't have a purpose. And if my life's got a purpose in it, then so is yours. Your mission, your task, your odyssey through this life is to actually work out what that purpose is. In fact, let me give you another thought, another great illustration. It goes like this. I actually believe that everybody on this planet, see, you didn't actually not come to this planet empty. You came in here with stuff, right? Seeds of greatness. For instance, let me put it like this. There are some people in this room right now, you know what? Music actually comes easy for you. There are some people in dance, you have this rhythm in your bones. You feel music on the inside of you. Some of you are gifted at leadership. For some of you, it's like, it's art. You're very artistic. You did not come to this planet empty. You came in here with stuff, seeds of greatness. What do you do with that seed? There are 5 steps. Listen very carefully. The first thing you do is you take that seed and you plant it in good soil. What does that mean? You put it in a good environment with good coaches, good mentors, good trainers, good teachers. Hey, why do the best athletes in the world have a coach? They have a coach because they know they can't mine that gift by themselves, right? If your gift is not being nurtured and supported, it's actually not going to grow. Number 2, what do you have to do? You have to water that seed. What does that mean? Practice, train, study, rehearse. Practice, train, study, you have to turn the soil. You have to work on your gift. You have to work on your talent, right? In fact, let me put it like this. Have you all heard the old cliche? The grass is always greener on the other side? Rubbish. The grass is greener where you water it. Do you know why people get so jealous of other people's talents and gifts? It's because they keep watering their garden. They keep looking over the fence wondering what's going on over there. No, water your own garden. Do you know why 1,000 divorces occur every single week in the nation of Australia? Because everyone thinks the grass is greener on the other side. And the grass is greener where you water it. Key number 3, what do you have to do? You have to pull out the weeds. What are the weeds? Doubt, fear, negativity. If you don't daily weed the garden of your mind from those negative thoughts will grow. They'll choke out that plant. That plant will never reach its full potential, right? Number 4, what do you have to do? You be patient enough to go through the seasons. What are the seasons? Life is not linear, right? Life does not go from here to here. Life is full of ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys, highs and lows. You know the problem is a lot of people today give up during the dark seasons. You know when things aren't going well? You know when things feels like everything's falling apart? You know when it feels like your PBs aren't improving, your results aren't getting any better, nothing's working out for you. You're in a season. Don't give up during the dark seasons, because guess what's around the corner? Spring. Everything will start to grow and start to develop again. Then what do you have to do? You have to wait for that seed to grow into a tree. We can sit under the shade of the tree, pick the fruit, eat the fruit, and be fulfilled. Does that make sense to anybody? You know what successful people are able to do? Successful people are able to see enormous possibility in the tiny. That gift, that ability you have, it may not look like much. But what if you took it and planted it and watered it, were patient enough to go through the seasons? That little gift could actually become a massive oak tree. Successful people are able to see big things in little things. Let me just quickly close with this. I recently saw a tweet from Bear Grylls. And he tweeted this, and I thought it was really significant. He said, "An oak tree is nothing more than a nut that held its ground." Hold your ground and awaken your heart. Thank you so much.